And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. From now until 5, we record live, and if you have a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording now, and then we'll post it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So later you can come by and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. Also today we're running 4 internet SDR receivers monitoring Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Alexandria, Virginia, and Milford, Pennsylvania, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. And also we're running 2 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, one aimed north and south and the other east and west. And plus we have a co-phase condition between the two, which many times represents about a 4 dB gain over either one of them by themselves. They are brought into the control room with a 3-position rotary switch for mag loop 1, mag loop 2, or the co-phase condition. So those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is KC9VKV, and this is the QSO-VLOG network. And as per usual, we'll call on Charlie, K1GZL, to advise us on how the conditions are going this afternoon. Charlie?
Good afternoon, Jim. Jim, KC9 Victor King Victor, K1GZL on this first day of November at local time 3:32 in the afternoon. You peaked 20 over 9 direct on your transmission. We are having horrible winds up here. And I'm surprised we haven't lost the power. We actually did a short time in the late morning for about 5 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds, then it came back on. I was just about to step into the tub, and everything went out, but it came back, and I was able to complete that task. So, I'll turn it back to you and see how you're copying which SDR. Here's a little bit of how you did sound on this one, the last one.
The Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. From now until 5, we record live. And if you have a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shot. Usual, we'll call on Charlie, K1GZL, to advise us on how the conditions are going this afternoon. Charlie?
Okay, go ahead, Jim. K1GZ and an L.
Roger, Charlie. Thank you for that recording. Most excellent. And as you know, Charlie, I mentioned I was having a difficulty with one of my mag loop antennas just before we went on the air. And so I had to make a mad dash outside. And what it was, I have a breakaway for both of those mag loops outside because I have to use my analyzer at the antenna directly to tune precisely the resonant peak of the magnetic loop, and it's very, very critical. And those are mainly in our receive circuit, so I can't use like a transmit to look at the SWR. I actually have to take a meter out to the mag loops and adjust each one individually. And I guess they're still recuperating from a little rain. Both of those were running about 1.3 SWR this afternoon. Usually they're a little bit closer than that, but I guess 1.3 is not too bad. But anyway, I do have that breakaway point, and I guess when I put them back together, I kind of didn't put the one quite back together as much as I should have. Whoops! So I had to go back out and get that one plugged in a little bit better. So now I have both mag loops, and we shall see how the day goes. Roger.
Roger.
Okay, Roger, Jim. Yes, KC9VKV, K1GZL with hellacious winds blowing right now, and I would imagine that is pretty critical on those loops there. I imagine they're extremely dependent on the frequency they're cut for. the frequency they're cut for there, and if you find that things aren't loading too well, you have to make the mad dash out there to try to collect it. But you're coming in great. There is a station on the low side of us, just on the edge. You can hear them a little bit, but you are very, very clear. We had our first snowflakes of the whole season this morning. I guess it was just before noon. I saw a few flakes, just before 1 o'clock, before it became mostly sunny. There were just a few flakes flying around at that time, 33 degrees, 34 degrees, but that only lasted a couple of minutes, and I hadn't seen anything all season up to that time, and that's the latest ever. And since 1982, when I moved up here, that Jim, that I was so late not seeing any flakes. Other times, by this time of the year, they've had to plow the driveway at least twice or so. Oh boy, this is really weird. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. I am using the Milford PA SDR, and you're running about 15 over on that SDR. So I was copying you earlier on the mag loops, but probably about an 8 over noise level. So I always go for the least noise, and I have this 6-position rotary switch, which has the world on it, and I just go through and I go through in about a second and a half, and I can run through all of them, except for when I get to the mag loops, and then I have to refer over to my 3-position switch for that one. But usually I just leave that in the number 1 mag loop position, which is the north-south mode, pretty much. But anyway, gosh, this is a beautiful day here. We have had some rain most recently, and a lot of leaves. I'm inundated with leaves. We live right on the edge of a forest area, and gosh, those trees, we used to have a pool, which was not my doings, and eventually I managed to get rid of that thing because it was just terrible. You don't want a pool around a bunch of trees. Roger.
Oh yeah, all our leaves are gone. All our leaves are gone, Jim. They are off the trees. Looks like January as far as trees go. But all we had were a few scattered leaves. But this wind has taken everything off. But even yesterday, we were almost totally off on all the leaves. And those leaves can be quite a problem. When you're trying to drive and it's wet and the road is wet, it's raining, and the leaves are all over. You can skid on those just as well as you can skid on ice. Oh boy, I did get another small pole up. I've got it up. I've got a guy a little better. However, it's about 27 feet high. 27 feet high, and it was an awful job getting that in the ground. My good friend Bob, KB1IZU, assisted me on getting that in the ground because there was a 16-foot treated, and that's heavy, treated 4x4, a 16-foot 2x4 next to it, and starting up at about 7 feet or so above the ground. A 21-foot half-inch iron, a 21-foot half-inch iron pipe with T-connectors on either end, and oh boy, getting that in the ground, and that was under a pretty calm condition. What a job. And the ground was all wet clay, slippery underfoot. Both of us were losing our balance. It was awful. Okay, Jim, let me turn it back. I don't want to keep this away from other people, but it's wonderful the work you're doing. on listening to and encouraging new arrivals of new rigs to test out their equipment. Excuse my voice, it just started to go. By the way, here's Ian from Australia on here on 40.
Beautiful evening here. It's a beautiful mild evening. Just got in. It's dark here already, of course. And time is just after 9 here. Okay, so it's over to you, Mike. WA30, it's Brent Smith with K1GZL and K4 Germany Bravo Zulu, 6 Kilo 3 Mike Oscar.
Okay, I'll just show you that conditions on 40 can be terrific. Actually, when I worked him, it was 6 o'clock in the morning, 9 p.m. Australian time, and as of now, as of Sunday morning, we'll be on the daylight, the standard time, and they'll be 14 hours ahead of us. Ye gad. So, KC9VKV, I didn't mean to make such a long one, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Gosh, he sounded really good there. I guess you guys have a morning QSO just about every morning there, and he does sound real good. And you guys have got all the street corners marked down on how to get from one place to the other. I'll have to join you. Maybe if nothing else, but just in the receive mode, because I know those frequencies I should not be on. So as far as transmit. But maybe I could copy you, or maybe I could get you guys to come up into my area and for a little while and get a QSO going. But anyway, Charlie, threes to you, sir, and thanks for helping us out and help us get going on the QSO-VLOG network. Roger. Get
going on the QSO-VLOG network. Roger.
Okay, beautiful copy. Yes, we're on it. I don't know. It's going to be late for Ian, but we're going to try to be on standard time, our new time. Well, we've been on at 6 p.m. or 1000 Zulu, but it'll be 1100 Zulu or 7 a.m. our time, 7 a.m. And I don't know if Ian is going to be able to keep that schedule too well, Jim, because he has to generally get up at 3:30 in the morning, and it will be 10 p.m. his time. So there will be days that we might miss it. It's going to be very hard with me because I'm an insulin diabetic, taking daily insulin for 55 years, and it gets a little bit rough for me to operate once they've changed the time to get on, with a new time an hour earlier. It would be very, very difficult, so I don't know how that's going to sugar off, but we're going to try to get on in the morning on the new time at 1100 Zulu, and that's on 7150, plus or minus a few either way, 7150. Okay, Jim, thank you so much for picking me up today, and you're doing a great job, and I'm glad I'm getting into Milford, PA. Quite often I skip over Milford. By the way, next week, being on standard time, you may find the skip longer. It may be better directly into the Louisville area, but it will be a little bit more skipping over on the shorter skip. KC9VKV, K1GZL. Always a good one, Jim. Thank you.
Roger, Charlie. Three set ways, sir. You have a real good afternoon and a great weekend. This is the KC9VKV QSO-VLOG network, and if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube, and you can go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page for today's today's QSO, you'll be looking for one entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. Today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor listening.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor listening.
With November 3 Alpha Papa Alpha.
There's about 6 stations there. I'm going to go to my local antenna and see who I can copy. This is KC9VKV. Try it again, please.
Whiskey 3 Alpha Alpha.
There was one station that ended in Alpha.
Yeah. Alpha Papa Alpha. Whiskey 3 Alpha Papa Alpha. QSO?
Oh, Roger, Roger. What's the name there, sir?
Tony. Tony, we talked, I had a 1200 Yaesu, 12/7/18, almost a year ago. And I enjoyed that conversation, and now I just got this 5000 Yaesu, MP 5000 Limited with the SM 5000 monitor on the top. And I'm very curious. This one's 200 watts. The other one was only 100. Very curious to hear how I sound over the airways. Back to you.
Roger, Roger. Well, that 5000 is just a beautiful radio. And I'm copying you in my co-phase position on my two 10-foot magnetic loop antennas in the co-phase mode. And it looks to be about 12 dB over my noise level. Audio seems to be about 3 dB dynamic range, just about perfect there. And the equalization has a nice cut to it. So all in all, Tony, I would say that radio is in good shape and ready to go.
Oh, well, thank you. You're so kind. Yeah, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. Believe me, I talked to, they just had all that DX stuff over the weekend, and I made a whole bunch of contacts, and this is leaps and bounds, the receive on this radio. In fact, I got laryngitis. I talk so much. And so it's got this, the receive is just leaps and bounds over that 1200 from what I had as far as listening. And then it's got a built-in power supply, if you're familiar with the radio, you know. And it's just dual receive. I can monitor 2 frequencies. In fact, I can listen, put headsets on one station in one ear, the other station in the other ear, which is, that'll make you crazy. But I just love it. I'm just learning how to use it. I've only had it for about a week now, and I'm just enjoying the heck out of it there. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, Tony. Now, if you really want to challenge your brain, go to, well, let's see, gosh, trying to figure out how to do this. If you can, I guess, can you monitor one as you transmit on the other?
I can. There's a monitor button. I got a headset on now. I can hear myself talk, and if that's what you mean by listening to what I'm saying, over.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you could listen to an SDR as you transmit, and try to hold yourself together as you speak with about a half-second latency.
Okay, I hear you, but how do I do that, over?
Well, let's see, if you were transmitting on this frequency, well, I guess, you know, I get sometimes ahead of myself because I have this magic rotary switch, and I have my SDRs coming back on this rotary switch plus my receiver, and they all come together, you know, and I don't even think about what one is and what the other isn't. It's just the, you know, which one is the cleanest. And I was just thinking, if you could monitor your signal off one of the SDRs as you transmitted, I guess you would maybe have to use some kind of a way to monitor your computer audio on one of those SDRs as you transmitted, and find one that had about a half-second latency, a half-second difference in coming back to you from what you spoke. And so you're getting this half-second delay of your voice coming back to you, and it's almost impossible to continue to speak logically.
Like an echo chamber. Okay, there's a net I log into on 2 meters, and if I have my Echo link on, and this is funny, and key up with the radio or vice versa, it just, I'll hear, like, if I say echo, 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 until it fades away. Is that what you're referring to, Robert?
Right. This isn't actually repeating. It's just a latency of half a second. It's not repeating itself. It's not echoing, but it's just repeating what you say a half second late. So if you have that half second late audio return in your ear as you speak, it's impossible to speak because your mind is just too distracted by the delay. But anyway, that's just one of those things. When I'm monitoring one of the SDRs, when I back off the key, if I'm on an SDR, sometimes, depending on the latency, I can almost hear my last whole sentence, Roger.
Oh, okay. Well, when I worked for Bell South, Verizon, they had echo cancelers. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's sort of like a time delay there. I don't know what, how many nanoseconds or, half a 0.5 seconds or whatever. But yeah, I've heard that in the phone when we tested stuff. You could actually hear you'd say something, then you'd hear it again. It was like you were talking into a acoustically perfect room and hear your sound bounce back off the wall. Over.
Roger. Well, this would be maybe a large room because it would take a quarter second to get there and bounce and a quarter second to return. So, but, as long as we're talking about delays and you were talking about the telephone company there, what I want to know, and maybe you could enlighten me, is that, most cell phone phones are actually, instead of duplex communications, they're actually dual simplex. And I'm just wondering what that means is that only one person can actually talk at one time, and you both can't talk and be heard by each other. And I just wondered how they decided that dual simplex would solve the problem instead of actual, dualplex or two-way communication simultaneously.
Well, it's a good question. I don't know how they solved it. I'm not an engineer. We did the basic, like when I come out with all these, they were running out of phone numbers. And I worked in, we put in echo cancelers, different things, but mostly what I did, we worked at night in the offices and pulled the cards and put in the SIMs and DIMs, if you know what they are, memory chips. And if they were just, pushed in sockets, we could just pull them out, put them in, and then run it through Unix, through all these phases, and hope it came out all TP, all test pass. And if not, we'd slap the card out, slap it back in, and let daylight worry about it. But that's basically what we did. And as far as all that engineering stuff there, that's a little above my pay grade. Over.
Roger. Well, I guess what it is that they can get two conversations on one. I guess it's dual simplex line instead of having to have being able to do two conversations simultaneously. It's just one and a switch back and forth. But to me, I probably am the only person that still has copper. I'm probably the only person that still has a real landline. And I've been a dedicated customer for many, many years of that copper landline, probably more so than what I should have, because for many of those years, well, it started out, if it rained, the line would start to hum. And it stayed humming for quite a while after it ceased raining. And then after a while, it started humming just if it looked like it was going to rain. So, but like I say, I have been a dedicated copper person for many years, Roger.
Well, you're not the only one. I have that runs on 48 to 52 volts, because I've worked in those offices with, they have backup batteries in case power goes out. I mean, They look like those 5-gallon water containers that you polarize water you put on home dispensers, if you know what I'm saying, with the lead and zinc and just all in parallel. And I still have my original phone, copper. I wouldn't let them change it. And it used to be, like the area code's 412, but it used to be the phone number before they did all that. Like Braddock was Brandywine something. Ours was Hobart 63509. And I can remember all that stuff, from way back in the 50s and that, when they had party lines. We used to, as kids, unscrew the speaker, that you talk into off the phone, and then pick it up so the people on the other line wouldn't hear the click, and we used to eavesdrop over.
Oh, roger that. But on this copper line now, they have just brought fiber optics in back of the house here. And so I'm getting really tempted. I'm sure the latency in fiber optics is much quicker, less latency in fiber optics than the regular internet line that they use, voice over IP. So it's really getting tempted now to go ahead and go to fiber optics, Roger.
Yeah, copy that. Well, what you can do, you can tell them leave your copper line up. And you can still, then they'll put a separate box in, and you can get the fiber optics. But, don't let them take your copper line down. Once they do that, you'll never get it back. Over.
Roger that. Well, Tony, I've enjoyed it, sir. Let me say threes to you up there. Thanks for checking in, and we will be posting this within a couple of days up to YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/1/19, Roger?
Yeah, copy that. Believe it or not, I was just listening. A gentleman friend of mine told me about, he heard you on the air, because I forgot all about you. That was a year ago almost. And I remember I stored it in my computer, but I couldn't remember what it was called. Group, Aircheck. He gave me your call letters. I punched it in my computer and brought it up, and I was just listening to myself here when I had my 1200s. And it was my group Aircheck 12/7/18, and I'm in about 32 seconds or 32 minutes into the QSO. I was just scanning the bands and heard you. And back then you said you were on frequency 189, and today I heard you doing tests. I figured it was you, and then when I heard your name, I knew it was you. So I stuck around and Anyways, I'm going to stick around here and listen to who else checks in here. And it's been a pleasure, Jim. So we'll catch you when we catch you. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. This is Whiskey 3, Alpha Papa Alpha. Tony in 12 miles south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We'll be clear with you.
Roger, Tony. Well, we were on 7189, and we do have the RV service nets above us and below us. And we were closer on 79 to the RV service net on 7191. So being a good neighbor, I just dropped one KC to kind of split the difference between these two RV service net networks. So anyway, threes to you there, and you have a real good afternoon and a great weekend, Tony, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and this is Jim, known in some circles as Dr. VKV. And if you have a radio you want to check out, we are recording now live till 5, KC9VKV. There was a Delta something station come back.
November 9, Charlie Delta Delta.
November 9, Charlie Delta Delta?
QSO, November 9, Charlie Delta Delta.
All right, Charlie, and whereabouts are you, sir?
I'm Steve from Wisconsin. I talked to you the last couple weeks. I was on last Friday and the Friday before that.
Roger that. I'm copying you fairly well on the Milford PA SDR. What radio are you running, sir?
Yaesu 1200 FTDX 1200. And my question, just because I got a brand new microphone, Heal 7 Pro 781, and so I can don't have to use my hands as much anymore.
All right. I came off the Milford PASDR to go to my local antenna, and what I want you to do is give me about 10 or 15 seconds and tell me about your antenna system, Roger.
Roger. I have a 4-band trap vertical. It's a Hustler 4-band trap vertical. It's mounted on Hustler 4-band trap vertical. It's about 30 feet from the ham shack, and it does a pretty good job. I got a pretty extensive radio system, so it's a pretty good antenna.
Alrighty. I've looked at your audio, and I'm just curious, would you be running your compressor? We usually suggest running that compressor at about a 3 out of 10 or a 30 out of 100, Roger?
Roger. I'm at 30 on 30 out of 100.
Roger, and just double check your ALC. We recommend mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC. So with mic gain in hand, give me a check on that.
Roger. The ALC is a little bit over 50% or 50-50 on the scale, and my mic gain is set at 80.
Roger, and your dynamic range looked to be about 2.5 dB, so it's just excellent. I think you are all that you can be, unless you were to push things. And the setup that we tried to augment is one that is very transparent, that one does not hear the compressor compressing or the limiter limiting or the equalizer equalizing. It's just loud. Roger?
Roger. Is there any changes I can make on mine, or is it doing okay?
Oh, it's doing perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. EQ is nice, a nice balanced EQ there. So I think I would get my Gorilla Tape out and tape things down, Roger.
Yeah, I'll glue my hands to the table.
Yeah, Roger. Now, there is one thing that we're suggesting also, that if your watt meter is within eyesight comfortably, and you were to move your watt meter to the PEP mode, then you could use that watt meter as a VU meter when you're transmitting, and you could do a lot to equalize, not equalize, but to present a very balanced audio to your transmitter by trying to use your voice to keep that the meter in the sweet spot, just at that place where it should be. You use your voice and to try to keep it there. Now, and it will show you things like if you back off mic like that, you'll see that meter drop down, and you want to be back up on it. So what you do is it's kind of like your own self-compressor, keeping those words as uniform amplitude-wise as possible. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, you're about 10 over 9, so I'm getting you really clear. My watt meter is about rock solid. I'm watching that as I'm speaking right now, and it's staying in one spot.
Roger. That's why we do suggest running that in the PEP mode, which will make it move a little bit faster, which ups the challenge. Roger?
Roger. I'll try it both ways and see if I have it the right way. And I haven't. You suggested that last week also, so I'm been trying it all week. Every time I'm on, I monitor it.
Roger. Yeah, PEP is quite a bit faster movement than RMS, but that gives you a little challenge to work on as you're talking. I have a VU meter in front of me that shows me my level as I speak, and also shows me your level. And I have a little trim pot by my right hand that I just ride gain for an hour and a half. Roger. But what was the name there again, please?
Steve, Sugar Tango Echo Victor Echo. How does that look?
Yeah, looks good, sir. Looks good. I think you got it going on, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, I bought the microphone because I have a hard time holding a hand mic, and I can just lay my arm on the table and push the button and talk right into the microphone and right at the same time. So I was hoping to do a good job.
Oh yeah, it does. I would suggest if you get a chance to get a windscreen. Not that I heard anything, but windscreen is just that final insurance policy that says you can talk to me any way you like, and it will be perfect audio. Roger.
Roger. What I read up on this microphone that I have, it's you have to speak into it directly. It attenuates off to the side, so it should be all right. I have a printer in here that my wife uses all the time, and that's sometimes going while I'm talking on the radio, so that could be some of the interference that you're hearing.
Roger, Steve. Sounds really good. Tape it down, and call it done, Roger.
Roger. Thank you so much for your help, and I'll keep on checking in every once in a while to let me know how I'm doing.
Roger, will do. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, anytime, drop by and say hello. I'd love to hear you. So 3's for now, and this is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. And if you have a radio that you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. And you can go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for today's QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. Today's date, My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. This is KC9VKV.
W3
November 8th, Sierra Tango, November.
There's a W3 station. Go ahead.
Yeah, Whiskey 3 Bravo Mike Kilo. Good afternoon. The name is Carl.
Roger, Carl, and whereabouts are you, sir?
I'm in Butler, Pennsylvania, just north of Pittsburgh.
Roger that. And what radio are you running today?
Today I'm running a ICOM 7200 and 100 watts with a G5 RV. And the microphone here is the Heil PR781.
Roger that. I just moved from my local 10-foot mag loops to the Milford SDR PA, and the Milford PA SDR, and you're about 15 over on that SDR, Roger.
Roger.
Oh, okay, very good. Wow. Well, I'm doing okay. Does the audio sound pretty good here on the 7200? There isn't too much I can do with it other than some compression. I have the compression set at 4 right now.
Roger, Carl. Usually we suggest a 3 on the compressor. We want to run it, but we don't want to run it where it can ever be heard to be running. We don't want to hear the wife beating the kids in the back room, as it sucks up between words. And so we found a 3 is about as best you can do without, starting to possibly hear it. So we do recommend a 3, but that 4 looks good. Your dynamic range is around 3 dB, maybe 2.5 dB, and with that your average percent of peak modulation would be between 80 and 85%. Your audio EQ curve is just really nice, Roger.
Okay, very good. I knocked it down to 3. I don't know if it made any difference or not, but went from 4 to 3.
Roger, I would go back to 4. It, and then go to 4, and then go to your ALC, and be sure that you're running that ALC between mid-scale and 2/3. Adjust your mic gain to where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay. Yeah. It's looking good also.
I'm sorry, I missed the last.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, the ALC is looking good. I have the mic gain and everything set up, I guess, just right.
Roger. So you're running mid-scale to 2/3?
Yeah, it's right in the middle, peeking over the middle just a little bit, but plenty of room.
Roger, yeah. You know, what that meter is looking at is the output from your limiter, actually. So you do want to run that, like I say, between mid-scale and 2/3. So if you could visualize an area right between mid-scale to 2/3, that would be the one where you would look. You know, it's over mid-scale, but not too much past 2/3. Roger?
Roger.
Roger on that. Okay, very good. Well, yeah, it looks like everything's looking good. Yeah, the last time I checked in with you, I was on a 7300, and I couldn't wait to talk to you with the 7200 here. So what I do is I swap the microphones back and forth from the 72 to the 73, and I also have an old ICOM 735, and it worked. I was surprised. The 781 works good on the 735 also. All right, Jim. Well, I'll let you go. Let you catch some more, and I appreciate you coming back to me and help me out there. And wish you a great day and a great evening.
Oh, Roger, Roger. We have some fun and games going on, but you know, we have to try to overlook the mentally challenged folks that you know, try to QRM because they lack the ability to speak intelligently. But anyway, I will say that radio is really sounding good. Sounds as good as your 7300 almost. I am kind of a fan of the 7300. I think that's one of the all-time great radios. Although the 7610 might be just a tad more interesting because of the drive circuit, where you can just dial up whatever dynamic range you want, all the way up to half a dB of dynamic range if you want to just to be a wall of sound, and you can still understand the words almost. But the 7300 is just a beautiful radio for, you know, to set up. It just does really nice, and the audio is just crystal clean. So we'll say 3s for now, and have a good afternoon, great weekend. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5, and then we take the whole thing and post it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. And if you would be interested, you could go to YouTube then and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that would take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And today you would be looking for a QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 11-1-19. My Group Aircheck 11-1-19. This is KC9VKV listening.
Kilo Alpha Niner, Zulu Yankee Whiskey.
Yankee Whiskey Station, come back with your call sign again, please. Slowly, phonetically.
Kilo Alpha Niner, Zulu Yankee Whiskey.
Roger, Roger. And what's the name there, sir?
Yes, sir. Jim, Juliet Indian Mike, located a little bit northwest of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Go ahead.
Roger, Jim. Roger, Jim. Now, I got to remember that. That's my name, so I should be able to do that. And I'm just noticing, you know, I'm copying you on the Milford PA SDR, and for the longest time, I've had to crank in 0.06 positive over the 7188 frequency because of some kind of, I'm not sure what it was, but the track was coming back from the Milford PA slightly I guess high, and so I would crank the frequency up, and the voice would turn out normal. Now I'm realizing that maybe that voice is just a little low, so maybe they've made some corrections, and probably next week I'll just crank in 03 and see where that goes. But anyway, come back and tell me about your antenna system, sir.
Okay, so right now I'm running a homebrew G5RV, and I'm running through a brand new Yaesu 99, and I'm running a Yaesu MD100 microphone. And I'm not too familiar with the radio yet, but I have a few questions. I'm running my mic gain at 40, and then the high emphasis is on high. And then there's also a switch on the bottom on the microphone that says low cut. And I have that as off, and there's a setting for 1 and 2. Do you have an opinion?
I would take that low cut and put it on and talk to me. I say talk to me in mid-sentence, move that, tell me you're moving that switch to on, Roger?
Yeah, okay, it's kind of hard to do there. This is the way it was set, and kind of hard to turn the microphone around that, but stand by.
Boy, they must have secured that switch. Hello? Jim, put the switch back like it was. Interesting. Hello? Hello, Jim, do you copy? That's kind of like the Challenger when they said go for power up. Jim, look out for that last step.
Ruh-roh.
Go ahead. Well, I don't know. They didn't say that switch was next to 10,000 volts. That's a small note that they failed to put in the note about the microphone. Anyway, Jim, are you there, sir?
Yeah, sorry I lost you there. How's that sound any different? KA9ZYW Milwaukee. Sorry about that.
Gosh, the secret about a successful AV test is to do them quickly in a row. I don't even remember your name by now. All right, let's go. Back, put it, are you in the roll-off position now?
Yeah, that's in the off position. Go ahead, KA9ZYW, and I will switch it right now. That's in the 2 position. Go ahead.
I just, gosh, put it back, put the low-pass, low-cut filter back on.
That's at 0. Go ahead.
Is that on or off? Okay, you have a microphone with a low roll switch. Put the low roll switch to on.
That's it on. Go ahead.
Okay, and tell me about the thing you like best about your radio.
Well, it's a brand new radio, so I'm trying to get used to it there. Go ahead.
All right, just give me just a little bit. I'm trying to hear your audio, sir. Give me a little bit more.
It's a brand new 991A Yaesu radio. I'm just trying to get used to it, and I'm running a Yaesu MD100 microphone. Go ahead.
Roger. Things look good. I think you've got it there. Close enough for government work. You're around a 2 dB dynamic range. Your equalization with that mic in the roll-off, low roll-off position, I think is very distinct. And I think you've got it perfect, Roger.
You would leave it at that. I'm crystal clear there. Go ahead. KA9ZYW outside of Milwaukee.
Yes, sir. I would suggest that you get a windscreen. Go to your local music store and get a foam windscreen to put over that mic, and that way that's like an insurance policy that you use it, and it does magnificent things and just takes care of all the problems before they're problems.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your help. I certainly do appreciate it. You've been a very good help in the past, and thank you. KA9VYW outside of Milwaukee. 73 is my friend.
Roger. The other thing that we usually are mentioning now is using your watt meter as a VU meter. So when you're talking, you're watching your watt meter. Advance your watt meter to the PEP position, so it's moving fairly fast. And as you speak, you'll notice that that watt meter is moving. And what you want to do is try to use your voice to keep that watt meter in the sweet position, where where it should be. And it will show you if your level falls off and you're like this. It will say, "Come on, get that leveled off, Roger."
No, Roger that. Okay, I'm sorry I bumped you off of the frequency there, but okay, 73's got the information. Thank you very much. You're always a big help.
Roger, Roger. And give me your call sign one more time, please.
Kilo Alpha Niner Zulu Yankee Whiskey. Name here is Jim outside of Milwaukee.
Got it. I had it, but I just wanted to be sure. So 3's that way, sir. Have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend. And if you get a chance, come back and join us next Friday. We operate between 3:30 and 5 and record all the time. And then we post it up on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, we'll take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, I think now we're about almost 800 QSO-VLOGs. But on page 1, you'll be looking for one QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19, today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and we're listening.
November 8th here, Tango November.
There was a November 8 station. Come back, sir, and repeat your call sign slowly, phonetically.
November 8th here, Tango November.
Alrighty, and what's your name, please, sir? We are in QSO with November 8, Sierra Tango November. And what's the name there, sir?
The name is Stan. I'm in Ashtabula, Ohio, right on the extreme northeast corner of Ohio.
Okay, Stan, and what radio are you running, sir?
I have a 7300, and I'm currently on an off-center from about 40 feet above my head.
All right. I would like to look around and see if I can find a better copy on you. Come back and tell me just a little bit about your antenna system, Roger.
Okay.
Just a little bit about your antenna system, Roger.
Okay, Jim. I have a fed wire that I had put up. Off-center fed wire that I had put up over 40 feet above the house. 4 BTV. No radios on it, and on the off-center fed wire.
Roger, okay, I've had a chance to look at your audio, and I would suggest, are you familiar with that of your radio? Do you know how to get around in your radio to different places?
Well, I can stumble around a little bit.
All right, first thing I would do would be to go to EQ. Do you know how to get to your EQ?
Could use some help there, Jim.
Menu, transmit, sideband, tone control. I believe that's correct.
I don't seem to have that menu transmit.
Let's see. Can you find sideband? You have options AM, sideband, whatever.
When I hit menu, it brings up scope, audio.
Possibly audio. I tell you what, maybe we should defer that till next time, and I give you a chance. What you want to do is find out how to get to your transmit EQ, your transmit tone control. You'll have two tone controls. You'll have a bass and a treble, and that will, we'll make adjustments on that. But you'll maybe spend a little time getting a little bit more familiar with that 7300, Roger.
Okay, roger that, Jim.
I could give you a note. I'll give you a note that when you find your EQ, what you want to do is roll 2 off the bass end, roll 2 off the bass end, and put 2 dB hotter on your treble EQ. So on the treble side, +2 from where you are, and on the bass side, -2 from where you are. Roger?
Okay, I'm going to note those suggestions, and we'll get back to you again. So for now, I'll let you go.
Roger, Roger. 3, sir. You have a good weekend, and we'll catch you maybe next Friday. This is the KC9VKV QSO-VLOG. If you've got a radio you want to check out, we are recording now live till 5. KC9VKV.
Romeo India Mike.
I got Romeo India Mike. What's the front?
Whiskey Bravo number 8, Romeo India Mike, over.
Roger. And what's the name, sir?
The name is Lee. Lima Echo Echo in Bloomingdale, Ohio.
Roger, Roger, Lee. And what radio are you running, sir?
The IC 7300.
My favorite radio. And, okay, come back and talk to me for just a little bit, about 15 seconds or so, about your antenna system, Roger.
Okay, the antenna system here is a off-center fed dipole, which I'm on right now, up about 30 feet. I also have an end-fed half wave and a double extended ZEP for 40 meters, but you're coming in the best on the off-center fed dipole, over.
Roger that. Now, I have a tuning procedure for the 7300. It involves first going to your compressor and setting your compressor in line on and at a 3. Just a token amount, but it's the beginning of the fattening process. Roger, a 3 on that processor.
Okay, I just turned on, it's on a 3, over.
All right, and then go to your ALC with your mic gain in hand and adjust your ALC to where it's reading mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Okay, mic gain, hello test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there, over.
All right, and tell me what you like best about the 7300.
I like the band scope. It has a lot of fun stuff on it, but the band scope's the best, over.
All right, do you know how to get to EQ, your tone control?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go to tone control and increase your treble equalization by 2 over your current position, +2 from where you are now. Roger?
Okay, I just did it, over.
All righty, and tell me about, the favorite band you like and why.
Oh, I like 40 meters. It's usually the most active here, and that's just what I'm used to being on, over.
Roger. I think we've pretty much achieved perfection there. You're about 3 dB dynamic range and 80 to 85% average peak modulation, Roger.
Okay, thank you. And I'm also using the SM6 that goes to my 751A, over.
Roger, Roger. Well, it sounds really good on that 7300, Roger.
Roger. Okay, thank you for the setup, and I'll let you go and help somebody else out. I appreciate the help, over.
Roger. Now, again, we are recommending that if you're in the vicinity of your watt meter, you can see it from where you usually talk on the microphone, to watch that meter and think of it as a VU meter. Put it on PEP as opposed to RMS. So it moves fairly quickly as you speak, and you'll soon see the sweet spot for that meter. And what you want to do is try to use your voice to keep that meter in the sweet spot. Roger?
Oh, Roger, I'm using the heat kit, the old SB or the HM2140 PEP watt meter, and it seems to be working pretty good right now.
Roger. Yeah, it will help you keep that level at the same place as much as possible. You know, the compressor and the limiter try to do as best they can, but we also can add to the perfection of the audio by using, emitting our words at the same amplitude as much as possible and avoiding, major peaks in words. Some people speak peaky. And they emphasize certain words about maybe twice as loud or 3 times as loud as the other words. And this is interesting, but it doesn't really build for a very smooth audio rendition in transmit. Roger?
Roger. I'm trying to write all this down and remember it here, and I'll take your advice and do exactly that. So with that, I'll say 73s, God bless, and thank you for the help.
Roger Lee, watching that VU meter, I spent 50 years watching VU meters pretty consistently on a day in and day out basis, and I found that the more you watch one, the more even you speak, and that is a matter of also practice. And if you happen to be a person that speaks peaky, after a little while with watching the meter, you will lose those peaks, and you become not monotone, but very consistent level-wise. Roger?
Oh, Roger, kind of like the radio broadcasters. They just kind of smooth, even voice, over.
Exactly. And so that really helps your radio guarantee a very, very loud, consistent audio representation of what you're trying to say, Roger. So we'll say 3s for now, Lee, and thanks for joining our QSO-VLOG, and we'll be posting this audio we are recording now, and we'll be recording till 5, so if you get a chance, in the next couple of days, we'll post this up on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19, today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. Roger?
Oh, Roger, I wrote it all down and ready to check it out here in a few days. 73.
Roger Lee, 3's that way, and you have a great day and a beautiful weekend. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV. A couple of stations back in there that you are about 2 dB above my noise level. But let me look around on the SDRs and see if I can come up with a better signal. So try it again. This is KC9VKV.
Try it again. This is KC9VKV.
Number 9, Hotel India Whiskey.
Number 9. What? Come back with that call sign again, sir.
November 9, Hotel India Whiskey, copy.
Roger. And what's the name there, sir?
Name here is Jim, Japan, India, Mexico.
Roger, Jim. We have some very inconsiderate person tuning up on the frequency. Sir, do not tune up on an active frequency. Take it somewhere else. 3K up, 3K down, I don't care, but do not tune on an active frequency. So go ahead, Jim.
Okay, didn't catch your name there. What's your name, sir? Didn't catch your name there. What's your name, sir?
Roger. Name here is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike. The call is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and we're located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the mighty Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger.
We're on the Indiana side of the mighty Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger.
Well, QSO. Very good. Okay, good signal here. You're 5 by 9, and about 10 over 9. So very good signal. And I'm located in Palatine, Illinois, which is about 35 miles northwest of Chicago. Not too far from O'Hare Field, if you've ever flown in or out of there. And running 100 watts to a dipole antenna. Not too fancy. The radio is an old Kenwood 520, and no amplifier or anything like that. Just MC50 mic. That's about it. So back over to you, Jim. How copy? KC9VKV and 9HIW.
Roger, Jim. I'm copying you just perfect. Was Jim, wasn't it?
Correct.
Roger, Jim. Your dynamic range is about 2.5 dB, which is a very fat signal, and no distortion, very clean, and your equalization is just perfect. I would get the Gorilla Tape out and tape it down, Roger.
QSL, okay, Jim. Funny you should say that. Actually, this microphone, I was talking to a fellow one time, and he said, "Hey, you want to get a little more bass out of that microphone?" He said, "It might make your voice sound a little better." And he told me to take a piece of cardboard and wrap it around the baffle. Oops, sorry, another radio going off there. Sorry about that. To take a piece of cardboard and wrap it around the baffle of the microphone, and then just tape it with some electrical tape or whatever you have handy. And ever since I did that, I get a lot of compliments on the audio, so it doesn't look very fancy, but it apparently enhances the voice a little bit. Good.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, I call that a crisper. It actually doesn't increase the bass. It does increase the upper mids and the super top end. It will boost, well, I'm talking about a little crisper on a, say, electret microphone. If you know what a phono jack cover is, you know, the piece of rubber that fits on the phono jack, well, you just cut that with a razor blade, and you take about 1/2 inch of that, the opening of that piece, and put it right over the electret microphone, and that will crisp up that audio like unbelievable. You can by 10 KC you'll be plus 10 with that crisper on, and your EQ from 1K on up would just be like a stair step on up to like a 10K max. Roger.
Oh, okay, very good, Jim. Yeah, a crisper. That's a good name for it. Okay, well, just heard you in there, and the only station I've worked at, I just turned the radio on a little bit ago. It was just tuning around. And there were a few other guys calling you there. I guess they wanted to get signal reports. So I'll let you go and see you can pick up a few of those guys. Thanks for coming back to the call. Have a good afternoon, and thanks for the report. I appreciate it. And the rig you're using there sounds real good on this end. So 7-3, have a good afternoon. Have a nice weekend, and we'll see you again, hopefully. KC9VKV and 9HIW.
Roger, Roger. And you're about 12 dB over my local noise level, and I am copying you in the co-phase position between two twin magnetic 10-foot magnetic loop antennas, running both of them in the co-phase mode, and you were like 12 dB over my noise level. So just great signal, great audio. Threes to you, and if you want to hear it, you can go to YouTube in the next couple of days and do that call letter search for KC9VKV, and that'll take you to a QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11-1-19. Today's date, my group Aircheck 11/1/19. So 3s for now, and if you get a chance, join us next Friday. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Good evening, Victor Alpha 3, Oscar Romeo.
Victor Alpha 3 station, come back again with a call sign.
Victor Echo 3.
Victor Alpha 3, Oscar Romeo.
Victor Alpha 3, Oscar Romeo. What's the name there, sir?
Name's Kevin, Jim, and I've been playing around with this radio for a long time, and I've found you on here a couple of times and haven't had the opportunity to let you help me out.
Roger, sir. Well, I'm copying you real well, like a 12, 13 over my noise level on my magnetic loop antennas. So I would suggest, what radio are you running, sir?
FTDX 1200, the Yaesu.
All right, I would engage the compressor at about a 3. Turn that compressor on and adjust to about a 3.
Okay, and it is engaged.
Alrighty, at a 3, and then go to your ALC and adjust with your mic gain your ALC reading to be between mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay, set the ALC reading so it's swinging inside of operating parameters, and go from there.
Roger. Yeah, mid-scale to 2/3. If you can envision an area between mid-scale and 2/3, that would be the sweet spot that you're looking for. Roger.
Okay, copy.
All right, and tell me about your antenna system.
I'm running a doublet, homemade doublet. The wire coming back down is about 590 ohms to a 4-to-1 Palstar balance, and then about a 20 to 25 foot piece of coax back into the shack with the AT2K.
Oh, Roger. Okay, I have a very good copy on you now. So do you know how to get to your EQ?
Sorry, I missed that. Jim, go ahead.
Roger, do you know how to get to your EQ?
Yes, I do. EQ, and looking for... oh, boy. These radios are fun. That's the beauty of the Yaesu. You're looking for... EQ with, alright, here we go.
Roger, did you find it?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, first off, we want to add about, give me 3 dB boost from where you are, plus 3 from where you are on the top end.
Okay, hang on a second here. Sorry, Jim. Yaesu problem. So I'm looking for on the top end. Yeah. Top end, add 3.
Yeah, is that a 2-band, 3-band, or 8-band EQ?
So just the radio itself on an FTDX 1200. So what it has is the EQ band. There's 3 or 4 settings above. And then 3 or 4 settings with the processor on, so it's kind of split between the settings.
Okay. Before we go anywhere else, maybe you should check to be sure that your bandpass is 100 to 2900. Roger.
I have it set at 100 to 2900 right now. Go ahead.
Okay, and what I'm looking for is a little syllabic increase there. So I'm assuming that that radio has more than 3-band EQ. Is that a Roger?
Sorry, but I can't help you with that one, Jim. I don't know whether it's 3-band EQ or what that means.
It means how many adjustable pots you have in your equalizer. Some radios just have a treble and a bass equalization control. Some have a treble, mid-range, and bass control. And then some have 8 bands of tone control. Roger?
Okay, this one has, and let me pull the books out here, but it shows 3 per each, and it shows, let me see here, let me pull it out. It shows different Q and different high and different mid, and there's 3 settings for each.
Roger. All right. Let me fade back and punt. You're close enough. Don't change a thing. You're close enough, Roger.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. I've tried to get a hold of you a couple of times, but you've been so busy and so many people. I just wanted to see what everybody thought to adjust this thing to the mid level, but you definitely seem to know what you're talking about, and you're fixing everybody up quite well, and thanks for that.
Roger. Well, sometimes I just turn and run when the going gets rough. I have been known to go over the hill and put a blanket over my head and call it even. But anyway, I think you sound great. And if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that will take you to a QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. Roger.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jim. Honestly, though, straight up, I'm not a person to say that I'm going to be offended. Yeah, tell me straight up if you want me to go more highs, more lows, more mids. Just lay it on me.
You're perfect. I wouldn't change it. I was just experimenting with you, just out of curiosity. But your audio is well balanced. It has a nice bite. Not a bunch of bottom end, but I don't like a bottom end because in bad conditions, bad QRM, bad noise, a lot of bass just tends to muddy out, and really actually hinders the intelligibility of the situation, and Mother Nature sometimes works another trick in that she has phase angle cancellations, that not all of your signal is reflected back at the same time. Some of your signal might go on before it's reflected back, so when it comes back and joins with the earlier reflected, they tend to, if they're not in the same phase angle, and they won't be because one is delayed just a tad from coming back, it starts to cancel. It's coming back out of phase with the majority of the signal, but it starts to cancel the audio, and it starts at the top end. So all of that syllabic range suffers when Mother Nature does phase angle cancellation. So I usually try to start with a little bit more top end than what I would think I would need, just because I know Mother Nature is out there ready to pull her pranks on me. Roger?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jim. I really do appreciate it, and everything you said, it found home. Excellent response. Take care, Jim, and I'll let you move on with the next one, and I'll be listening along and riding in there and seeing what we can hear. Thank you very much. Take care, and we shall talk again. Victor Alpha 3 Oscar Romeo.
Roger, Roger. And like I say, I was on my local receiver, and my local receiver is very flat from audio-wise from 100 to in excess of 3. So unlike some of the SDRs, usually on the SDRs, the audio, for some reason, is rolled off under 300 cycles, 200 cycles. They roll off the bottom end. Mine is flat down to 100, so I can tell pretty precisely what's going on audio-wise. And also, you may notice that when you find your audio on the QSO-VLOG page for 11.119, you will notice that I have a spectrum analyzer incorporated into my Radio Shack, and you'll see that spectrum analyzer moving around, and that's a fairly effective spectrum analyzer showing exactly what the receiver's doing. So you can look at that also, and I'll give you a hint. There are 3 white marks on the meter. The first one to the left is 100 cycles. The furthest one to the left is 100 cycles. As you move towards the right, the first one on the right is 1 KC. And then there's a black space, which is 2 KC. And the next white mark is 4 KC. So, we are restricted to 3 KC. So you'll see, fairly flat at the first right mark, and then tooling down there during that black mark, and, probably 4KC, maybe just a tad there, but maybe not. That's exceeding the speed limit. Anyway, let me say 3s, and you have a great weekend. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday, and we'll compare notes. This is KC9VKV and the Friday Afternoon QSO-VLOG Network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Thanks, Jim. Victor Alpha 3 Oscar Romeo. Awesome.
Roger, sir. Anybody down around Atlanta? I am running a SDR, the Atlanta SDR. Anybody down that way?
Whiskey 4 Zulu.
Whiskey 4 Zulu. Let me see if I can write that down. Whiskey 4 Zulu. And what's the name there, sir?
Okay, the name here is Floyd. I spell Foxtrot Lima, Oscar, Yankee Delta. And the QTH here is Monroe, Georgia. We're not exactly in Atlanta. And the QTH here is... I've been around Atlanta my whole life. And is about, it's about 20 miles from Athens and about 35, 40 miles from Atlanta. Over.
Yes, sir, Floyd. I'm copying you on locally on my 10-foot magnetic loop oriented north and south. Roger.
Okay. Well, we're running at the moment we're running a dipole. I think it's probably aiming east-west. So I'm not sure we're pointed in your direction, but that's what it's an old dipole that I made about 30 years ago, and it still works. I think I burned the ballon up in it, and I took the ballon out, so it's running without the ballon right now. But anyway, rarely do I use it on 40, but it just seemed like it was picking up better than the vertical today. So that's what's going on. The rig here is ICOM 7610, and we're running it into an amp right now. Running about 1,000 watts. So wherever you are, hopefully we're making a good trip. KC9VKV, this is WW4Z.
Roger, Floyd. Now, I've been looking for you. I've been looking for 7610. First off, you look like you could use just a little processing to fatten your signal up. We are suggesting that you engage your compressor at about a 3. A token amount, but it begins the fattening process. So if you would be interested, set your compressor on a 3. Roger, Roger.
Okay, I just hit the switch and it's set for 3, and that's actually and it's also set for wide at the moment. So it's I think it's got a couple of different settings, and one of them for DX and such would be for narrow, but I don't particularly like that sound for just reg chewing and such there. Over.
Oh, you're right, Floyd. that bandpass, when they suggest going to, that lower resolution, and what they do, they shoot their foot off for nothing, because that just takes the top end right off of your audio. When you go to those restricted bandpass frequencies, it just takes the top end right off your audio. And the top end is what gives you the intelligibility to be able to be heard and understood in high noise situations. When you lose the top end in noisy situations, you become Mr. Just mumbles, Roger.
Yes, sir. I'm actually running this, I've got, it's actually a condenser microphone, and it's fit into a little box that I built years ago that's got a three-section bandpass filter in it, and it's currently enabled. I'm going to turn it off and let you hear. I think it'll probably make a sizable difference into just what you're talking about in terms of the highs and such. So
it's now in the off position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My name is Floyd. My call sign is Whiskey 4 Zulu, located in Monroe, Georgia.
And there's the little box turned back on. And I think it tends to give a little bit of crispness to it, and hopefully adds a little intelligibility in terms of not what I'm saying, but how you can hear it there. Over.
Roger, Floyd, yes. Sounds much better with the box engaged. You're pretty bassy with that turned off or out of the circuit. So you would definitely want to keep that engaged, Roger. And the next thing would be to go to your ALC and adjust with your mic gain, your ALC, to run mid-scale to 2/3, Roger.
Okay, let's see here. I'm not sure I know enough about the menu to get into there right now. Jim, let's see here. Hang on just a second. Let me just take a peek.
I believe I've lost my mind.
Uh-oh.
Well, somebody help that guy find his mind.
I can't find my mind.
Where have you been? That's my Elmer. Hello, Elmer.
Well, go ahead, Jimmy. I'm
I
going
have
to sign
gotten
out there.
myself
Appreciate
in a jam.
the conversation there, Jim. It's WW4Z.
Roger, take notes. When you find your EQ, you might try to increase your top-end EQ a couple of clicks more top-end than where you are. About 2 dB increase on top-end EQ from where you are. Roger?
Okay, I will do. Thanks.
All right, and there's one other thing that I'm sure you can find this. Your radio has a thing called Drive, and you find that through your button in the front called Quick.
Give him time, Jimmy. He'll find it.
No, I know where it
I
is.
need a psychiatrist.
Drive gain, I see it.
All right. So what's it sitting on now?
50%.
Take it up to 65%.
Okay, 65%.
All right, and tell me about your antenna system.
Okay, right now it's a fan dipole. It's got elements for 80 meters and 40 meters, and it is oriented east-west, and it's stuck. It's not very high. Up in a bunch of pine trees, and you can't see it from here, and it may be on the ground for all I know.
Roger. Well, that just increased your audio probably about 10% over where it was, and I think you were close to 3 dB dynamic range. So I think you're probably up around 85 to 90% average peak modulation with the drive set in that mode. And what that is just an item the 7610 has that you can dial a dynamic range whatever you want. Roger.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. Hello. Looks good on the scope, actually. Yeah, you can definitely tell when a compressor's on. It peak power. Hello. Oh goodness.
Good.
Yeah, it sounds great, and that is more the peak than the compressor. The peak adjustment is doing that when we kicked it up from 50 to 65. Roger.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to say 7-3 as you guys pick up there. That's WW4Z.
Roger, sir. 3Z-way, sir. And again, if you go to YouTube within the next couple of days and do a call out or search for KC9VKV, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19, today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. So 3Z-way. If you get a chance, join us next Friday. And Elmer, what's going on over there?
Jimmy, there's a meter you got that's a capacitor meter I need to get back right now. I'm not even sure if you even used it. And then I need you to check my analyzer out. I put it on dummy load, it shows everything's fine. But while I put it on this or put it on that, it shows crazy stuff. So I don't know, Jimmy. I made a bad move in cutting down some good antennas. I just cut them down. They're on the ground. And I'll get them back up, but I made a bad move, and I was trying to change things a little bit, and it just didn't work out right. I had purchased an antenna online. Can you believe it? I actually purchased an antenna online, and Jimmy, it is the antenna from hell. I don't know how to describe it. All I know is it's the antenna from hell. Everybody else can buy one and put it up. It works fine. I buy one, and all it does is look like a big dead short on the analyzer, and the radio don't like it. And I'm thinking, now, granted, it is a foot away from my tower with weed eater string. I wouldn't think that would cause, no matter where I am, it looks like a dead short. So I have, it's an onion. It's a 9-to-1 Ballon, 130 feet of wire, and it's supposed to cover all the bands and all that great stuff. But I've done everything known to man. I think I need to walk away from it and get a different perspective and maybe have a meeting with you next week. I don't know when or week after next. But right now I'm transmitting on it with just some coax, and I've used about 8 turns of coax around a 4-inch copper pipe, you know, the shit stack, and using that as a choke. It's just going out to 130 foot of wire, and then brown counterpoise is about 40, 50 foot of wire up on the roof. And I've got a tuner. I've got a super tuner here that's made by Gentron Super Tuner Plus or something. So I'm just using it to give me a happy radio. Over.
Roger that. Man, I wish you would use that windscreen I gave you, that foam windscreen. I would just clean up that audio, just something beautiful. You know, you were getting some transients in there. And that windscreen, I don't know if you know where you put it, but if you could put that over that microphone, you would just be in tall clover.
I am. I will do that, sir. I definitely need to do it. It's a matter of just getting it done. But, yeah, you know, last week was beautiful weather, and then we, you know, come into the week, you know, whenever it was, and then today laying on that roof actually made me feel pretty good. I was really feeling good. It was like, oh boy, this is the good way of going things. So, laying up there, just getting some physical therapy from that roof, boy, it felt good. But like I said, probably just gonna, I don't know, I'll do something here. I don't know what is the weather going to be like next couple of days, do you know?
I don't. But you're giving me a 10 over my noise level, so that's nice. And I guess you're running that to 100 watts. And you know, you want to be about 3 feet off that tower. You need to be about 3 feet away from that tower. I'm assuming that's where the feed point is, and so you want to move that feed point about 3 feet away from the tower. And but it still shouldn't look like a short, even when you're closer than that, Roger.
You're right. No. It's coming from the house, going up to the tower, and there's a piece of weed eater string at an angle holding it away from the tower. That's a number 14 gauge wire, THHN black, and it's going over towards my neighbor's backyard into the tree and tying to a telephone pole. So that's 130 feet going up and over, and I'm transmitting on one end of the wire as an end-fed antenna. And the 9-to-1 has just got some issues, and I said, okay, that's it. I had the 450 ohm of variable pot that I put in there, and across the antenna on the ground, and I could not get it should sweep it. It's 1.1 to 150 ohms no matter what, because all it is the auto transformer, and I just, no matter what, I've tried it reverse, backwards, this and that, and it's just something real simple and something goofy, and so I'm just gonna, I wanted that to have just a one antenna thing. The wife wanted me to change a few things, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. And boy, did it backfire on me. I'll figure it out. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that seems like I can give a lot of good advice for you, and it works out great. But boy, I can't get my own advice to work for me. Over.
Roger. Now, have you checked out the twin 10-foot mag loop antennas? I did a piece on that on YouTube. You need to check that out.
I will, but like I said, right now it's just trying to keep buffling, bailing water out of the boat to keep the boat from sinking on this. The antenna is important for us because she likes to listen to radio at night, and I can get it to receive okay, but I can't get this antenna, believe it or not, I can't get tuned up on 75 or 160 at all. The tuner's a great tuner, but it says no. There's just that much, there's just, like I said, it's goofy. So I said, okay, enough is enough. I will revert back. But if I put a dummy load up there, and everything's fine, the analyzer looks beautiful, so the path going up there to the coax is fine. Sweep the whole thing. So it's just a matter of a configuration issue, and I've got a feeling that I've got to get focused. I liked everything fed out of the building, and I should have redid things, but I'll figure it out. Well, tell you what, sometimes I wish I could just put the wife on a plane for 2 weeks and send her to Florida.
Yeah, I hear you there, sir. Well, anyway, we're going to have lunch sometime here and discuss world affairs. Maybe go back by your place and see if we can talk some sense into that antenna, Roger.
I'm going to go back with the Dell Bazooka. It's what my intentions are. Let me tune this up a little bit to try to get that null out of there. Boy, it's just a real, boy, I can just barely touch the air variables here, and boy, it just really climbs up quick. But I'm using the Gentron Super Tuner right now, and it seems to work fine. Like I said, on this band, I got it to null out to nothing. But I had the analyzer on it earlier. But I want you to I just don't understand why the auto transformer wasn't performing right. I was going to rewrap it in a different way, but I want it dedicated just for one aspect, and then the antennas out there were going to be for the remote aspect, so when I'm gone I could use it for the remote. And I guess I'm going to go back with the Dell Bazookas. Now, on the antennas that you're using, you're just using the 468 divided by the frequency, cut it in half, and that's it, right?
That's where I started, but then my tuning technique is, no transformer, just direct. And on the ground side, I use that for adjusting the SWR on the dipole, and on the high side, I use that for bringing it on frequency. And you dedicate that way. Ground side is SWR, and the high side is frequency. And you keep going like that till this antenna I'm on is 0.01 SWR. Roger.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Jim, I'd just like to thank you for the demonstration I got to do a few months ago. I demonstrated on that you recorded. He got his ham ticket. I just want to appreciate you on that. Thank you very much. K5OMC Mobile.
Roger Mobile. Thanks for checking in there. Sounding good there. And thanks for the kudos, Roger.
For the kudos, Roger.
Sir, 73s, God bless. Glad you got in the driveway there. This is November 9 Golf Tango Oscar talking to the great KC9VKV. Well, Jimmy, all I can say is I have no RF in the house. I have no RF flying back, no this, no that. I don't hear anything, so I guess that 8 turns on that copper pipe sticking out of the vent pipe for the drain done well for a choke. So I'm not hearing myself in the speaker system or anywhere else. So it'll work now as a compromise situation. But I've got a feeling that the interaction, I'm not sure if it's the trees, it's in the leaves of the trees, is that called? It shouldn't show 0 ohms no matter what. That's the goofy part about it. Me being an electrician, I just got a feeling there's more to it than that. I went inside and took the onion apart, and it's got 3 wires, and you got 9 turns, and you tap this one here and tap that one there, and so I've got a feeling I'm just going to have to figure wrap it 3 turns one way and 9 turns another, a different kind of way of doing it. I think I'm gonna try it a different way, and to where there's different ways of doing it. And but I'm going to wait till the wife gets home and let her look at the mic. Because see, when you're looking at the wiring diagram, you've got those 3 wires going around 9 turns, and you've got A, B, and C, and you've got to mark, red, yellow, and black, or so forth on each one, and you've got to put one to the other. It's a very simple schematic. But boy, Jimmy, I can't believe I've moved some wires around. Nothing got any better. I'm like, well, if things are not getting any better. Even with the analyzer and a 450 ohm load across the output of the thing, it's got something's just not right. So what I'm probably going to do is just scrap it and get some good Teflon wire, order some Teflon wire and wrap it again myself with the better grade of wire, and try to get the wife involved in it. She can kind of help me out a little bit. So. But I'll say 73s to you. I'm going to go on and finish my dishes here and sweep the kitchen and try to make her happy, get a lot of that junk out of there, because I've had the kitchen cluttered up in the last couple of nights. 73s, Jimmy. God bless. And 9 GTO clear.
Roger there. Hello, 3, sir, and thanks for checking in, man. And like I said, we'll get together and have some burgers for lunch maybe next week. So 3s for now, and gosh, we turned into a pumpkin about 10 minutes ago, so we got to get out too. So we'll say 3s, and for everybody that participated in the QSO-VLOG network for this afternoon, thanks much. Hope you enjoyed it. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/1/19, today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/1/19. So if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We're on the air on the QSO-VLOG network between 3:30 and 5, recording live. So for now, we'll say 3s, and this is KC9VKV clear.